welcome back to Just with Dara. This is the third episode. Super excited for today's topic. Today's topic is just talking about disciplining children and what my opinions on beating children or just talking to them. So, for starters, I want to address that. What I'm going to be talking about is some of it may be personal to me, and some of it could just be examples of what I've heard from outside people. My parents are great. I appreciate them so much, so I just want to make that clear. I'm also not really going to specify whether I'm talking about myself or somebody else. But yeah, so I'm excited. Um, so for starters, my opinion, I think, no, I not I think, I know for a fact that when I'm older, when I do have my own children, I'm not going to ever beat them or anything like that, or because I don't think it's necessary. I think there are definitely other ways of disciplining children and other punishments and other consequences without having to resort to putting your hands on them. I get like little taps here and there, like when they're younger or something, if they do something wrong, like tap them, like don't do that. Like I understand that. I'm not saying never put your hand on them, but like I feel like beating with a belt, a spoon, a shoe, I think it's completely unnecessary, and I don't really see the point to it because I think for me, like people say like, oh, it helps them learn so that they don't do it again. And yeah, okay, but it could also help them learn to where they just be more sneaky about it and not necessarily that they're never going to do it again. I think there's a clear difference between never doing it again or just never letting you see it again, which I think a lot of people it's more I just won't let them see it again. Again, not saying this is for me personally, but I'm just saying. So that's why I think that I also think that sit down talks help better because I know for me, if I did something wrong and my parents sit down with me and talk to me about what I did wrong or why that's not okay or anything like that, I think I understand it better then. Or if they say why they're disappointed or something like that, I understand it better then instead of them just like slapping me. Because if they're slapping, I mean, it just makes you resent them for that time being. And I don't think it really does anything, honestly. And again, my opinion, but like I definitely think that there are other ways you can discipline a child without having to immediately resort to beating them or slapping them or anything like that. When you have your child thinking that so typically after somebody gets a beating, like they'll go to their room and kind of be in like isolation in a way. So when you have your child sitting there that isolation and they're just thinking like, wow, that I feel okay. I don't think they're probably thinking, wow, what I really did was like super wrong. Like I don't want to get beat again. Like they're thinking that. Okay, let me phrase that. They're thinking that as well as, why did this person beat me? This is so bad. Blah 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 blah, and like thinking these negative thoughts towards whoever beat them or anything like that. Um, I know that for myself, when I don't really get beaten that much that often anymore. But like when I have before, I I do think like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now I know. But at the same time, I'm also thinking like, why did they touch me? This, and that, and it's more of like a annoyance than really a reflection of I'm not gonna do that again. So that's why I think from my own experiences that I wouldn't beat my children. And I know like some people, adults especially, may say like, oh, well, you're just saying that now because you're still young, and when you're older, you'll change your mind. But no, I promise you, when I'm older, I will not change my mind. It's something I will never change my mind on, and I know that's something I'm going to try to instill in my kids as well, because I think there are definitely other punishments besides just immediately beating them or grabbing the belt. Like, like I said before, I respond better to when they talk to me without yelling, of course, but like when they talk to me and tell me why this and that was wrong or why I shouldn't do it or anything like that. That I think that's a definitely a more effective way of punishing your kids or just giving them a consequence or anything. Even I don't know, even facing the wall, I feel like I respond to that better because I mean after a while, like if I did something wrong, if I talked back or something, my mom would be like, "Oh, go face the wall," and my dad would say like, but that I feel like that I respond better to because that, like, when you're there for like an hour standing with your arms up, you're going to realize, I don't want to do this again. So whatever I did, I'm not going to do it again. I feel like, I know that sounds weird, that sounds better than getting a beating, but at the same time, it kind of does, because, like, I don't know. I also, some parents, when they beat their kids, marks or bruises are made. If it ever gets to the point of marks or bruises, or you can visibly see that person was beaten, that is abuse, honestly. You may say I'm exaggerating. I don't think I'm exaggerating. But if it gets to the point where there are marks or bruises or scratch or anything, I think that's definitely too far. And me saying this isn't for me to bash people who do believe that it's okay to discipline their kids by beating them. I completely respect their opinion. However, if it does get to the point of where there's a mark or visible showing of any type of beating, then I don't agree with that at all. Because it's like, it should never get to the point of there being a specific, like, that you can see, and if somebody asks you, like, oh, what happened to your cheek? Oh yeah, somebody, yeah. Like, no, it should not ever get to that point, because that right there is something that I couldn't even fathom doing to anyone ever. But that's definitely not okay, and it shouldn't ever get to that point, because you don't ever want your child to have to walk around and try to cover or anything like that. And there are households where abuse is actually prevalent, like physical abuse or even verbal abuse, and that could be like an everyday thing, and it shouldn't ever get to the point of your child even thinking, like, whoa, is this what my life is now, or something like that. But yeah, I definitely don't think that beating is the answer. I think sit down talks are good. I think raising the wall is even okay. Maybe taking away privileges is also okay. Those things may sound like cliche, like, oh, well, like, that's just what some people think because they don't like to get beaten, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's like, I just definitely don't think that beating is the number one answer to everything. There's definitely other ways to discipline your child to where they won't go to their room thinking about how horrible their parent is or how they resent their parent now for this, because you never want your child to think about that. So that's my opinion on that. So that brings us to a close. Thank you everybody for listening to me. I really appreciate it, truly. I would love to hear your opinions and views as well. So please comment on my YouTube channel on the podcast episodes there so that I can see what you guys think about what I've said so far, or any feedback and things like that. Thanks again, and you guys can come back next week to listen to another episode. Next week I will actually have my first guest, which I'm super excited about, and I can't wait for you guys to listen to it. Thank you.